Here we go, fundamentals of Git. My name's Grant Fritchey. I work for Redgate Software. That's the last time I will say those words in this presentation. It is not a vendor presentation. We are talking about Git. Everybody cool? This is my contact information. If you want to get in touch with me after today, please, please use it. Happy to help, happy to answer questions. I live for questions. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about why Git, we're going to talk about where Git, and we're going to talk about how Git. And we're going to spend most of our time talking about how Git. Hopefully you're in the right room. So, why Git? Well, let's talk about it. Actually, let's not talk about Git yet. Let's talk about why source control. And here's my deal. I think you should be using source control. Who in here is the DBA? Who in here is not using source control? Only a couple of hands, or you don't want to admit it. Okay, cool. Looks like most people are using it. The whole thing about source control is it gives you a source of truth. Now, I do recognize the database itself, especially the production database, is a source of truth. But the idea here is that we're talking about in development and QA and all the other things that we're doing, we need to know what kind of things have been done. What does the system look like? And source control gives us that, because I got bad news for you, DBAs. You know what your database is? Code. It's not code. It is, it's code. And it should be treated as code. It's not code, Grant. It's tables and indexes, and yeah, they're all made by T-SQL, babe. Code. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, code. So we should treat it like code. One of the cool things about source control is we get auditing. You know what they call the auditing in Git? Blame. Oh, yeah, we get to know who did it. Blame, and that is the technical term, blame. Had to look it up, because I didn't believe people when they told me that. No, that's not what it says. Yep. Also, source control is communication, and we need to be able to communicate with one another, and source control gives us a valid methodology for communicating who changed what, when, how, where, why. Communication, great. So that's why source control. Now, why Git? The whole thing about Git is it was designed and built fundamentally at the start with the idea of distribution, of a distributed approach. People in different locations working on the same code base. And that was its initial design setup. And a lot of other source control systems, all the ones that have died, because 90% of everyone's source control, more than 90%, is in some flavor of Git, because of the beauty of its design, and that beauty starts with that distribution. Further, the distribution was split in half. It runs both locally and in a hosted environment someplace. So you've got local source control, versions of my code. I can go and look at what I did yesterday and know what I did yesterday, not as opposed to, yeah, I was working on that proc, and I may or may not have had a drink last night at the party, and I don't remember what I did yesterday, right? I mean, happens. Also, Git was designed with branching by default. It was built with the idea of being able to split the code right at the start and then bring it back together. Also, Git had the assumption of a team from the beginning. So for all of these reasons, Git has proven to be a very, very superior source control system. It works well. And it's part of the reason why the room is filled, unless you're just here to watch me, which I don't believe. So that's why Git. Everybody cool with that? Awesome. Oh, and by the way, questions? We'll see how we do on terms of time, and we'll take questions at the end. Everybody cool with that? Awesome. All right, where Git? Who was in Rob's session? Anybody? Nobody was in Rob Sullivan's session on Git? Oh, one or two nodding heads. You guys don't like raising your hands, do you? Okay, cool. Saw a few nodding heads. He talked about how, oh, I don't want to hear about GitHub. I don't want to hear about GitHub. And And he kind of didn't emphasize the way Git works. And I had already had this set up ahead of time, but he and I talked, and I said, oh, no worry, I've got it covered, because I'm going to tell him about most of them, but not all of them. So Git runs on your machine. First up and always, it runs locally. Can you just run it on one of the cloud services or someplace else? Sure, you can. Why would you? You shouldn't do it that way. You should run it locally and then move it up to the cloud. But you can run it on your servers. You can have everything isolated off. You don't have to be involved in the cloud in any way at all. So you can have it local and on your server, so you can share with everyone, and everyone can communicate through Git. Everybody cool? Or you can go with AWS Code Commit, which under the covers is Git. You can go with Azure DevOps, which under the covers is Git. You can go with GitHub, which is in the name. You can go with GitLab, which is in the name. You can go with Bitbucket, which under the covers is Git. You can go with Atlassian, or however we pronounce it, which is, yep. Everyone should be joining in at this point. Perforce, which under the covers is Git. SourceForge, which is Git. Launchpad, which is Git. Codebase, which is Git. Right. So, we're not talking about GitHub for people who are worried about GitHub. Everybody cool? All right. How Git? It's hard. No, it's not hard. It's easy. There is a command line, which I'm going to kind of focus on today. And then there are a generic Git GUI that comes from the Git community. And then there's specific Git GUIs. And I'm showing one right there. That's the GitHub GUI. Yeah, okay, I'm talking about GitHub a little bit. That's where I keep my code. Personal code. Also, I think Redgate uses it too. We use GitHub, right? I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway, you've got a couple of GUIs, you've got a command line. I'm going to focus on the command line. I want to walk through just the fundamentals of getting started and walking through that stuff. Everybody cool? All right. So how do we start? Well, if you've got it on some other system, either on your local server or up on one of the other servers, what you want to do is you want to run git clone. Git clone along with a connection, and that connection you've got to have permissions to and all that fun stuff. That will then bring that thing down for you from that source and put it locally on your system. Everybody cool? Oh, and by the way, these slides will get uploaded to the Bits system, and you guys can download them from there later. And I will probably also post them on SlideShare. Everybody cool? Awesome. Next up is git init. If you want to just start Git locally, right? So I had git clone to pull it from some other source, which is pretty normal. Or if you just want to get started with Git, you init first. And you run the init, and it goes on and just sets up Git for the local folder that you're in currently. The next thing is that you're going to be using day to day is fetch. Now, what's fetch do? Well, fetch is kind of similar to clone. Clone is when you don't have source control initiated. Fetch is when you've already got it initiated, but you want to get what's up there down to your local system. Okay, cool. That works. Merge, and I apologize. I should not have put this here. That should be in a different location. I realized as I was running through the slides 5 minutes before this that I'd put merge in the wrong place. Merge is for merging branches. Branches? We haven't talked about branches yet. Yeah, I know. Oops. Apologies. I put this in the wrong place. But merge merges your branches together. That's what it does. And I totally put it in the wrong place. What I should have done next is pull. Pull is our baby. Pull gets everyone else's code changes. So when you come in the morning, you do a pull. Just how you start your day. You do a pull. You get all everyone else's code changes into your code. Now, there may be conflicts if they've worked on stuff that you've worked on locally, and you may have to work on that. Now, we're not getting into conflict resolution and all that stuff today because we're just doing fundamentals, but I wanted to give you the warning. Okay, next up is add. What's add? Well, add says, I'm done working on this right now. I'm going to add it to my repository, to my Git local repository. Isn't that the same thing as, like a commit? Nope. It's like a staging area. I'm done working on it, but I'm not ready to commit yet. I've got other things to work on. I haven't decided what I want to do with my commit notes. So I'm done working, but I'm staging this for the moment in preparation for Git commit. Git commit is, yep, I'm done. Now the one thing you'll notice on my little GIF here is I say demoing commit for presentation. What's that? That is a comment on my commit. Please, for the love of all that is holy, put a comment on your commit. And please, for the love of all that is holy, make it meaningful. Tell me something. I changed some code. Updates. No. What did you change? What did you do? Tell us some information. Use this communication tool that you have. Please. I'm begging you. Okay. That done. We've committed. Yay. Now what do? We push. What's push? Move it up to that other storage, whether it's my local server or up to one of the cloud things. Oh, cool. Okay. Easy enough, right? It's nice and simple. What about what's next? Status. Where am I? What's going on? What's been done? What hasn't been done? What's been committed? What's been added? Where is our situation currently? Status. These are your fundamental day-to-day operations. Now I'm going to get into how you really use them here in a second. First up, I want to talk about teams. The whole thing about teams is that you need to branch, have a pull request, which is not the same thing as a pull. Pull request is actually a request to take the branch that you've created and merge it into the rest of the branches. What? Why did they name it twice the same thing? Yeah, great question. I don't have a good answer. Sorry. Just, it's a little weird, but that's how it works. So branch, what's branch? Create a copy of this. I'm going to work on the copy. I don't want to mess with the original. Oh, that's cool. Now, one of the things you're going to need to do is create a branching strategy, which goes way beyond fundamentals, so we're not going to talk about it. When you're done with your branch, you're going to issue a pull request. I've got a visual of a GitHub. Yeah, I know, and nobody wants to hear about GitHub. I've got a visual of a GitHub pull request showing you, what you do. Name of your branch, the information, what did you do. I think mine says something about doing demos, making some changes. Again, what did we want? Clarity, information. I made some changes. No, these are the changes I made. Here's why this branch exists. Everybody cool? And then merge is putting them together. Now, how much more time do I have? I've lost track. You guys are supposed to know. 7 minutes. Okay, cool. We're totally on track then. Good. Thank you. All right. So, I already said it. In the morning, or in the afternoon, whenever you start work, I don't know. You do a git pull. Okay? So that gets you your code. So this is your start. You are then going to create a branch locally. Work on the branch. You're going to get work done, right? I'm working in Azure Data Studio. I'm doing work. I'm making changes to code. Everybody cool? All right. When I'm done with my code, I'm then going to add it. I'm going to post it into that little staging area. As I finish each bit, I will post it into the staging area with add. Once I'm done with all of my adds, I'm going to commit my code, and I'm going to put a meaningful comment on my commit, and yes, I'm reiterating that on purpose. I've read way too many commits that don't say anything, and it's really frustrating. Why did you change this? I can see that you changed something. Why did you change it? Please tell me. That's all I ask. So that goes into your local Git again, right? This is all local. I started from the cloud or wherever. I did the pull. I did the branch. I did my work. I did my add. I did my commit. Everybody good? Now, at the end of the day, I'm going to do a push. Why am I doing a push? Because I want a backup of my code. Now, what I'm not doing, what I haven't talked about at all, is the merge. Why? Well, because I'm still working. Most of the time you're going to work for a while. Day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 2 weeks. I mean, hopefully no more than 2 weeks, but you want to keep your commit things small-ish. But this is your day-to-day work. Pull to get the code, create a branch, do your work, add, commit, push. The push is important because this is your backup. Because otherwise, that code, all the work you've done is just local only. And when your laptop gets stolen, burns, gets run over by a bus, laptops die too, not just developers. It's great being a DBA. We don't get run over by buses. Developers do that. It's horrible. But you want to have that backup. Everybody cool? I have a bonus. Happy? No? All right. A few tips on using Git. One, commit early and often, especially locally. When you're working locally, I would do a frequent commit. It protects the code you're working on. It gives you a backup. It gives you copies. I mean, who's mostly developers in here, right? Mostly? Mostly, yeah, almost all. It's kind of weird. I'm talking mostly to developers about Git. I figured it would be a giant DBA thing. But okay, cool. You want a backup. You guys don't know about backups. You're not paranoid control freak. I mean, DBAs. You need backups. Backups are good. So that gives it to you. Next, funny enough, write clear and meaningful commit messages. Isn't that weird that somebody would say that again? Yes. Also, your commits, the blanket of your commit should be a single purpose, meaning don't work on 15 features at once and commit them all together. It makes it really hard to undo things. It makes it hard to merge. It makes it hard to, deal with the branching. It really adds conflict to the whole mess, okay? And then finally, you are going to have to develop a branching strategy. And I'm not getting into branching strategies because that is really, really hard stuff. And since we're doing fundamentals, I don't have to do hard stuff. Yay. Okay, but this is one you're going to have to think about. Now, my personal suggestion is to use something similar to, whoever it is that complains about this is going to hate me, GitHub Flow. GitHub Flow is basically off of using the main branch. The idea is the main branch is production. And then you have a hotfix branch and then a feature branch, and that's it. There are completely other branching strategies. A whole bunch of them. Some of them so complex, I do not understand them. I mean, I've had someone explain to me, I figure it's Git Flow, the original Git Flow. I've had someone explain it to me like 5 times. I still don't get it. I do not understand it, and so I will not use it, because if I can't figure it out, it's useless to me. But the whole idea here is that commit early and often, write clear messages, make your commit single purpose, and develop a branching strategy. Get those things done. This will all be a lot easier. That is why, where, how, Git. My name's Grant Fritchey. How much time do I have? 1 minute. Who wants to ask a question? Yes.
I've started on a branch, like name it, whatever.
Yeah.
Create table for just for example's sake. I started on, but then find my colleague
has another branch.
Has already done
Oh, okay. Right. So you started a branch. You've got a colleague who also started the same branch effectively. They may have named it something differently or whatever because you're both working in different places. You've decided that theirs wins. Yours is not winning. What do? Delete it. You can delete it. I don't. You can. There's a way to roll it. There's a way to roll back branches. You can roll them back. My time is up. So that was my one question. Thank you very much.